Most people think of Winnipeg as a quiet city, cold in the winter, friendly people, lots of hockey fans, but hidden in its history is a killer who slipped through the cracks and disappeared like smoke. No arrest, no trial, no real answers. Let's talk about the murder of Candace Derksen and the killer who, for years, was a complete ghost. Who was Candace Derksen? Candace Derksen was just 13 years old when she left her school, Mennonite Brethren Collegiate Institute, on November 30th, 1984, to walk home. She never made it. Her family, hardworking, well-known in their community, immediately knew something wasn't right. Candace wasn't the kind of kid to just vanish, and what followed is one of Winnipeg's saddest, most frustrating criminal cases. The city came together to search for her. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and then, in January 1985, 2 months later, a horrifying discovery. Candace's body was found frozen in a shed in an industrial area near her home. Her hands and feet were bound. She had clearly been held captive before dying from exposure to the cold. Just imagine that for a second. 13 years old, trapped, helpless, left to die in the freezing Winnipeg winter. No suspects, no leads. At first, police had no idea who did it. They questioned classmates, neighbors, even random people with criminal records. But nothing stuck. For years, Candace's case sat cold. No forensic evidence, no witnesses, and no real clues to track down. And the longer it stayed cold, the worse it got. People started to wonder, was there a serial killer out there? Now, fast forward to 2007, 23 years later, technology had finally caught up. Police ran DNA samples collected from the crime scene through newer testing methods and got a hit. The name, Mark Edward Grant. He was a known criminal with a long history of violent behavior. Grant was arrested and charged with Candace's murder. In 2011, Grant was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. Finally, after all those years, it seemed like Candace and her family would get justice. But wait, it wasn't that simple. In 2013, his conviction was overturned. Why? Because the DNA evidence wasn't as strong as prosecutors made it seem. There wasn't enough to prove Grant was guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. He was retried, and in 2017, he was found not guilty. Just like that, the only suspect walked free. So, who did it? The truth is, nobody knows. Grant might have been involved, maybe he wasn't, but the fact remains, Candace Derksen's killer was never officially caught. Someone, somewhere, got away with murder, and it left a deep scar on Winnipeg, a feeling that sometimes, no matter how hard you try, justice just slips away. Candace's death changed a lot of things in the city. Her mother, Wilma Derksen, became a huge advocate for victims' rights. She even helped push for changes to how missing persons cases are handled across Canada. Wilma chose forgiveness over hatred, something a lot of people say they couldn't have done in her shoes. Her work has helped hundreds of families deal with tragedy, but still, the fact remains, the person who killed Candace has never officially been held responsible. When you walk through Winnipeg today, it feels like a safe place. But under the surface, stories like Candace's are reminders that darkness can hide anywhere. A random act of evil, a young girl's life stolen, a family left with more questions than answers, and a killer who, to this day, remains a ghost in Winnipeg's history.